Yes.
So you want to scratch your head? Read you test. Your test. Text.
I missed that one.
I am kidding on my daughter today.
Okay. Well, we're at Shemot chapter 17 today, and we remember, hopefully, we remember what transpired in Shemot chapter 16. The Creator taught daily to trust Him, and He taught them through the manna and the quail, and clear instructions were given for the double portion for the Shabbat, and their obedience was tested to see if they would stick to the instructions or they would go left or right. All right, we're going to look at Shemot chapter 17 now, which continues their journey through to Rephidim. And you're going to be a case where you're going to see where they're thirsty and the thirst lead to quarreling. And we're going to see something about the rock giving water and also attack coming from Amalek. Right? So in this, Moshe's leadership and faith will be tested significantly. But let us read together and see if there's more for us to learn in it. Let me see. Right, we have, okay. So I'll read from verses 1 through to 7. And it says, "And all the congregation of the children of Israel set out on their journey from the wilderness of Sin according to the mouth of the Creator, and camped in Rephidim, and there was no water for the people to drink. Therefore the people strove with Moshe and said, 'Give us water to drink.' And Moshe said to them, 'Why do you strive with me? Why do you try the Creator?' And the people thirsted there for water and said, 'Why did you bring us out of Mizraim to kill us and our children and our livestock with thirst?' Then Moshe cried out to the Creator, saying, 'What am I to do with this people? Yet a little, and they shall stone me.' And the Creator said to Moshe, 'Pass over before the people and take with you some of the elders of Israel, and take in your hand your rod which you struck the river, and go. See, I am standing before you there on the rock in Horeb, and you shall strike the rock, and water shall come out of it, and the people shall drink.' And Moshe did so before the eyes of the elders of Israel. And he called the name of the place Massah and Meribah, because of the strife of the children of Israel, and because they tried the Creator, saying, 'Is Creator in our midst or not?'" Good question. Is the Creator in our midst or not? Right, so they were en route, and they started quarrel over water. All the congregation of Israel journeyed by stages, and when we look, I hope we have been noting the different places that the stops were made. First they were in Egypt, and they traveled from Ramesses to Succoth, and from Succoth to the wilderness of Sin. I almost mistook it for the wilderness of Sinai, but it's actually two separate places. And from the wilderness of Sin to Mount Sinai, but on their way they camped in Rephidim, right? And that the big problem there was that there was no water. Water is regarded as a source of life, and we need it. It's needed for life in terms of you cannot go with your body long without water, without you feel the effects. And the quarrel with not among one another, but the quarrel with the prophet of the Most High. And I'm thinking that just as when Mizraim is going against Israel, they're actually going against the Creator. Here they're going against Moshe. And when they're going against Moshe, it's actually they're testing the Creator, right? They should realize that when they're quarreling with the prophet of the Creator, they're actually not going just against the prophet, but against the Creator. I do not want to mislead with this. I know prophets are pastors in organizations today put themselves way up, but this is not, should not be so. The striving was for a genuine need, and I can see eye to eye with the issue that the Israelites had. Is this what? Is this the second or third or fourth complaint? It would be good to note where are there with the number of complaints, because everywhere there's a complaint. I think, well, they were on a slavery and a complaint, fine. When the first effort was to release them, they got more load, more work, and that was complaint. Their burdens got harder. We see they complained about water at Mara, no drinkable water. And then they complained about not having any food, right? That's in Shemot chapter 15, right? So most of the times the complaints about bread and water. So bread and water, very important. That's food, Don't play around with people's food, right? So the response was that Moshe, he cried. And right now, it's not just cry. I think anxiety has set in. Whenever you are tossed in a leadership position, a lot more is expected of you, more is required of you. And so it's he's worrying now. I think it's verse 4, he's saying, I think these people are going to stone me. So he is anxious and he's fearful of being stoned. Yeah, so that's where Moshe was, and it's a genuine need. So people will do what they need to do to get what they want, right? And this fear that he had, the Creator paid attention to it and responded to it, and that's a good thing. And the instruction was what in verse 5. The instruction is what? Pass over the people, and the same people that you're afraid of, I want you to go in their midst, pass through, but you're going to walk with some elders, and you're going to take that same rod which struck the river and go. And you're going to see that I'm going to be standing with you in all this. And Moshe ensured that he did this in the presence of the elders. There are questions that come, other than the how many complaints that were there and the pattern. I think this is the fourth major complaint. And why would he have the elders there, though? What is the purpose of the elders? I know he's following instruction, but what does that represent? Right. Well, I'm thinking that if I am afraid of these people, it's good to have some sensible, mature people with me, so that they do not harm. They don't harm me. They don't really stone me. Maybe the elders could defend him. I don't know. But that is a leap, a call of faith for Moshe, because if Moshe told the Creator that he thinks they're going to stone him, and the Creator same time tell him to go in the midst of these people, that's really saying, face your fear. And a lot of us, when it comes to things that we fear, we avoid it as much as possible, right? But there was a plan to show the people and the future generations that Moshe obeyed the Creator and to do the instructions that was given to him, right? So when you have elders, it's good to have a witness. They are like witnesses. Sometimes when you do something, people might misrepresent you and blame you or frame you. But when you have some mature persons around you, that should certainly help. Any thoughts on these first 7 verses? All right, we're going to read 8 and 9. And Amalek came and fought with Israel in Rephidim. But it seems that this story took a sudden change, because the first part is talking about water, and all of a sudden the story takes a twist to go to Amalek. But let's read it. Amalek came and fought with Israel in Rephidim. Moshe said to Yehoshua, choose for us men and go to fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I'm stationing myself on the top of the hill with the rod of Elohim in my hand. right? So that's way. If we, I think the word Amalek is the first. I'm not sure if the first we're seeing it. No, it's not the first because I'm seeing it where I note where it's mentioned in Bereshit chapter 36, 12. That's Genesis chapter 36, verse 12. Who was Amalek? Amalek, he's not related to the ites. He's actually related to Esau, right? In Genesis 36, verse 12. If I could bring it up, Genesis 36, 12. It tells who Amalek is. So for that, I'm going to refer to it. 36 down to 12. It says, and Timnah was the concubine of Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bore Amalek to Eliphaz. These were the sons of Ada, Esau's wife. So, okay. So, Amalek is actually family, but enemy kind of family, if you know what I mean. Well, family enemy, whichever way we look at it. So opposition, you're going to realize every time there's a problem, you'd want to think that the problem should be getting less. These people are on a transformative journey, and every direction they turn, Makkah, stick them, you know. That's in Jamaican terminology. Makkah juk them, right? So adversity at every point, and they're feeling the effects, reeling from the effects of it. Why did Moshe decide to go on top of the hill? All right, he actually went on top with. So Yehoshua is the first. It's the first time I've actually seen Yehoshua mentioned. So obviously he's a fighter. And he told him to choose men for us to go and fight. And of course, we are always hearing about tomorrow. Anything that's going to be happening, it's not today. It's always tomorrow. So adequate notice is given so people can actually prepare themselves. What I get from this is that it's not always good to make a knee-jerk reaction or immediately respond to circumstances unless you have to you're forced to in that situation, right? I see the rod mentioned, and we know that this is a rod of Moshe, but in this instance, we're seeing it called the rod of Elohim. So is it the same one that part the Red Sea? I think so. I think it's the same one that dropped and turned into serpent or swallowed up magician's serpent. Wondering when did Moshe get this? We didn't really see any mention. Was it something passed down from Adam to Abraham, or was it something that just dropped out of the sky and Moshe just got that and started wielding it? The rod, anytime we see the rod used, it's normally in something to defend or to bring harm. But in this chapter, we actually see the rod. It was used to strike the rock and water came. So there's good purpose in the rod. And I'm just thinking that every man should have a rod, a firm one, and one that can actually. It represents leadership and authority, and something that can, with hard surface, that can strike something. Yeah. I wonder how to look for a man in today's day to be walking with a rod. You look, yeah. All right. So we are at verse 9. We'll move on to verse 10, and we read from 10 to 13. And Yehoshua did as Moshe said to him, to fight with Amalek. And Moshe, Aharon, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. And it came to be when Moshe held up his hand that Israel prevailed, and when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed. But when Moshe's hands were heavy, so they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. And Aharon and Hur supported his hands, one on one side and the other on the other side. And his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. And Yehoshua defeated Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. All right, so now we see the battle with Amalek, Yehoshua, and we see a new person now. We see see Hor. Who was Hor? Anybody interested to know who Hor was? If we return to Shemot, Exodus chapter 31, verse 2, we see that Bezalel was one of the men that was instrumental in the construction of the ark. He was the son of Ori, who was the son of Or of the tribe of Yehuda. So Or is from the tribe of Yehuda. So here we have the Levites working with Yehuda, right? And so he was the grandfather of a very productive and purposeful young man, Bezalel. We don't see just two, but we see three. And I'm just thinking naturally, three is better than two. You would agree with me? Three is better than two, especially in matters pertaining to prayer. Why these three persons were working together? Aaron, Or, and Yehoshua and Moshe. Right? They went up on the hill and left Yehoshua down the bottom fighting. Some persons take this to believe that, when you're praying about something, it's better three persons come together to do it. The main person in this was of course Moshe, but Or and Aaron supported. So whenever you need support, see if you can get yourself not just one but two support. And it was a good thing that they were there, because Moshe and actually got tired, and they were there to chime in and help him. So I think it's in verse 11 and 12, we see the hand raised. Whenever the hand raised up, they were on the winning side, and when the hand lowered, Israel was on the losing side. It's natural for Moshe's hand to be tired. Maybe a lazy hand or the weak hand, or it was just a lengthy battle, right? But fortunately, the support suggested that they take a stone, put it under him, and hold up his hand, one on the side, on one side, and the other one on the other, and that kind of steady things until the going down of the sun. I do not know what is the meaning of the going down of the sun. I do not know what factor the sun played in this war, or how the Amalekites viewed the sun, if it was something of inspiration for them or not. But the war never ended until the going down of the sun, it seemed. Right? And of course, down the bottom, Yehoshua, he and his men defeated Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. So here is a righteous man, Yehoshua, and he had his sword. And I'm just thinking, is it good practice for followers of the Creator, men of Israel, righteous men, to walk with a sword? And not necessarily a sword, but something that is a defensive instrument. I'd really want to have our take on it. Whether it's good to walk with a gun or a knife or a machete or a slingshot, something to defend if needs to, if somebody try to cross or test. Here, these people had their weapons, and the weapon can be used for a good purpose, which is to defend himself, defend his family, and defend his people. Right? Of course, it's not just sword, because we saw they went to pray. White suggested that they went to pray. They went together up the hill, and I'm just thinking that it's something they must have been coming in with the Creator and focusing on the battle that was at hand. And we see down the bottom, Yehoshua, he was no normal guy, and he had his tool of resistance. Any questions in this section? I'd ask why that all represent, if the Creator is at the helm of this thing, right? I take it that they're acting on instructions. you know, they were interceding, right? And it's the hand. Um, I'm just thinking that when the people of the Creator lift their hands, or they obey the Creator, they will win. And whenever they not look to the Creator, they will lose. So continue to look to the Creator, and we will prevail. Look away from the Creator, or put our hand away from Him, then we will fail. Right. So that's just my take on this hand thing. It was not just to show us that Moshe's hand was tired, but there is actually more in it. But let's read the final verses 14 to 16.
Just a minute, brother. It was not just Moses' arm. The rod that he used to part the Red Sea is the same rock he used to part the rock. The rod that he used to turn the water blood. This is the rod that he was to hold up for the battle for them to win. So the battle had nothing to do with it. He still working on behalf of the Most High. So the rod is what was to be held up. That is what I'm seeing here.
So it's not the hand, it's the rod. Okay.
Moses' hand got tired of holding up the rod.
Oh, it's a rod. Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'd like to have one of those rods for myself. Right. Good. So and that was the instruction too. Sorry. So it's not a case where he was actually doing something. It's not his own power. So I'm glad you shift our attention from Moshe, but that the fact that is the Creator at work. Very timely and mindful. All right, we're going to read down verses 14 through to 16. It says, "And the Creator said to Moshe, write this for a remembrance in the book, and recite it in the hearing of Yehoshua, that I shall completely blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under the heavens." And Moshe built a slaughter place and called its name, the Creator, Nissi. For he said, because a hand is on the throne of the Creator is to fight against Amalek from generation to generation. So this thing is supposed to be part of history, supposed to be memorialized, and we must see this as not Israel's war, but the Creator's war on Amalek. Right? And it was told to him to point it out. Something about the hearing of Yehoshua. It says, recite it in the hearing of Yehoshua. Of course, Yehoshua appeared to be his understudy, his personal assistant, a younger fellow. And that would be needed as well, because by this time, Moshe would be over 80. And in Israel, they had an age of conscription. I think it's you take men to work at 20 or 25 to join the army, and at 50 you come out of the army and join the elder rank. So Yehoshua would have been between the 20 to 50 category, and so he would be the beneficiary of every wisdom that is to be passed on from Moshe. I'm wondering if Moshe at this point got a hint from the Creator that Yehoshua is going to take over his position. He's going to not really take over his position, but will actually be the one to lead the children into the promised land. It says, 14 says, and the Creator said to Moshe, write this, recite it to the hearing of Yehoshua, that I shall completely blot out remembrance of my Amalek under the heavens. So if I was in Moshe's situation there, I'd have picked up that, maybe, my time is ending, my purpose is fulfilled, and of course it's time to hand over to the younger generation, because the work is never one man's work, but we are all part of instruments to work for the Creator in this world, and that's the main thing, that we do what we are told to do. The last verse, it says, because a hand is on the throne of the Creator. Any idea of what this is saying? It's not in the normal flow of the English language that I'm familiar with. Right. Here is my banner. Right, the hand. Okay, it's just maybe just a representation of the Creator again. We see different parts of the body, nose and head and the eyes and hand. But the hand is like representing what a shepherd does. It's normally represented by the hand side, what we call yod in Hebrew. So there's going to be a fight from generation to generation, and remember, they can be assured that the Creator's hand is going to be with them. All right, so we're at the end of the book of Shemot, chapter 17. And this is the 17th chapter of our study of study of Shemot. I will just try and summarize this chapter. Just to say that we saw at the start where there was quarreling over water, and of course it was met by the provision of the Creator from a rock, and that is miraculous. You don't see water coming from a rock. So you wrote, do I have to get water from the moon, something like that? But this one, water came from the rock. This is more impossible, right? But it came. And it came through Moshe following clear instructions from the Creator. Amalek was defeated when the rod, not his hands, the rod was raised, and there we see that the war will continue. Even when we overcome one war, there'll be a war from generation to generation. But the Creator, He is our banner. He is the one that fights for His people, and it is He that will give us victory. So thanks for sharing, and thanks for joining. Shalom, shalom, family.
Shalom.